Coffee and Convo, y'all. Let's get it. Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. You guys know what time it is. Welcome to the latest installment of Coffee and Convo. I am your host, Graphk Raider, man. Salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. As always, make sure you guys wipe them feet. That means get those likes up. And also hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. A lot to talk about right now. It looks like Jakobi Meyers is on the way out of Las Vegas. We're going to talk about that here shortly, but also salute to everybody listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast. On the audio side of things, you guys are definitely appreciated over there. Thank you guys so much for running those numbers up. You have no idea what that does for the brand, what that does for the algorithm. Truly appreciate every single one of you guys downloading and subscribing over there on those platforms. So, but yes, man, it looks as though Jakobi Meyers may be on the way out. There's a few teams that sound like they may be interested in bringing in a wide receiver. We've been talking about this for a few weeks, you guys. You already know what it is. I mean, the trade deadline is right around the corner. The bye week is next week. We're 2-4 right now. Depending on what we look like this week against the Kansas City Chiefs, there may be a few players on the way out. Jacoby has been a very serviceable wide receiver for us up to this point. He had one, last year was his first year where he had over 1,000 yards receiving. The year prior, 807 for us. Last year, 1,027. This year, up to this point, he has 329 yards in the air. He's been a really good football player for us, but not necessarily a true wide receiver one that we've been really needing since Davante Adams exited Las Vegas. I'm not mad about this. I'm not upset about this. I think that it's the right move to make. I do believe that we drafted Jack Besh, and you guys can go back to the draft show if you like. When we took him in the second round, I said, this is the Jacoby replacement. This is the Jacoby replacement. And then they sit down at the bargaining table. They can't come to an understanding, an agreement. I don't know if the Raiders were lowballing him. I don't know if Jacoby was expecting wide receiver one money without putting up wide receiver one production. I don't know the true essence of what was going on there, at the bargaining table. But I do know this, that we need a wide receiver one. And we drafted two guys, Dante in the fourth, Jack Besh in the second. Trey Tucker has stepped up this year in his third year as a Raider. I think that all signs are pointing to him moving on. And right now on Twitter, Instagram, all signs, there's so many rumors and rumblings right now that the Giants may be potentially a suitor. They're feeling a ton of pressure out there in New York. Malik Neighbors out for the season. They can use another receiver out there. Jackson Dart performing well. Scatterboo performing well. That head coach and that general manager are definitely feeling the fire in New York right now. They're still very much alive in that division. Philly is playing underwhelming. The Commanders coming off a loss to the Bears. Dallas being Dallas. The Giants may think that they can go get Jacoby, and this may put them in place to potentially win their division. And then Brian DeBall and that general manager out there could potentially save themselves, save their careers out there with the Giants. Also, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4-1 right now. They can use another wide receiver right now. I definitely can see them in play to potentially bring in a wide receiver too. Jakobi Meyers, that is his role. That's what he fits. Opposite of him, a DK, that would be a great place for Aaron Rodgers and company to go all in Pittsburgh. But keep an eye on the New England Patriots, a team right now that can definitely use another wide receiver. Drake May is playing very well in year two under Mike Vrabel and company and Josh McDaniels. back to being an OC where he needed to be in the first place. But Jacoby played his first 4 seasons in New England. We all know very well what happened. He threw the pick to Chandler Jones. He ran it back. We beat them a few years back. I think 3 or 4 years back. But New England is definitely in the business of bringing in a wide receiver right now. So keep an eye on them potentially making a trade. And I want to bring this on screen. And yes, it looks like Chris Olave is potentially a target for a few of these teams also. It looks like New Orleans is willing to take at least some listens, some calls. Originally, the thought process was that New Orleans doesn't want to move Chris Olave, but right now they're at least accepting calls and seeing what they can get for the services of Chris Olave. Now, most of these teams would definitely value Chris Olave, you guys, over Jakobi Meyers. Chris Olave has star qualities to him. He is a stud. He's played with some really bad Saints teams. I definitely believe the Patriots, the Steelers, all these other teams that we spoke about would definitely value Chris Olave over the likes of a Jakobi Meyers. But it doesn't matter. I mean, either way, whoever misses out on Olave will definitely put a bid in for Jakobi Meyers. So I want to share this real quick. We've talked a lot about Ricky Scoops. Salute to him over on Twitter. He just put this out, kind of came out of hiding. He hasn't really put anything up for a while. And I do believe that this is potentially like a former GM or a former insider that has a ton of intel on what's going on around the league. He definitely hides his face and doesn't tell people who he is. But Ricky Scoops is definitely a great follow on Twitter. I definitely wasn't familiar with his game. I'm like, are people really taking this guy that has a dog account seriously? Well, guess what? This dude is pretty much 99.9% on the money. I was not familiar with your game. I have to give you a ton of credit, Ricky Scoops. But right now, it sounds like Raiders Jakobi Meyers is being traded out of town and won't be in the silver and black much longer. This is coming from Ricky Scoops after, a ton of people in the national media have spoken about him potentially being a trade candidate because of him being on an expiring deal. And the effort or lack thereof in recent weeks is kind of telling. I think Jacoby knew the writing was on the wall and that he's on his way out. But he goes on to say also, the Patriots have been on the phone with teams and are aggressively looking to trade for a wide receiver before the deadline. Sounds like Drake may be getting another weapon. So something to monitor here, because I remember Ricky, let me go down. It's been a while, but he did put something out there along the lines of potential Kyle Duggar and Jacoby swap. I'm going to see if this is still down here or if he deleted it. To me, it wouldn't make any sense. Why trade a player for a player? We're not in win now mode. We could use another safety. Okay, so it's no longer there. But he did put something up a while back, potentially player for player type situation, Kyle Duggar. Lonnie Johnson looks like he is going to be right back with the Raiders potentially this week or next week. He's been hinting on Twitter that he should be back very, very soon. So I'm expecting him to probably be active this week. Palomau has struggled mightily. I would not be shocked if Lonnie Johnson got the start opposite of Jeremy Chin at the safety position this week. So no player for player. I just want some draft picks. And depending on what these teams are willing to offer, I'd expect probably a 4th round pick. Honestly, probably a 4th round pick for Jacoby. I would love to get a 3rd. Maybe one of these teams become desperate and they potentially move a 3rd round pick for Jacoby services. Whoever trades for him, you guys, is going to have to re-up his contract or just allow him to play it out and let him be a free agent next offseason. So if it's a winning team that thinks they can win some games this year, maybe they just bring him in and let him play out his contract and let him walk in free agency. Or if it's a team like the Giants, maybe they bring him in and they give him a new deal and he sticks around. But I would say at best, we potentially get a 3rd round pick for Jacoby Meyers, but I do believe we'll probably settle somewhere in that 4th or 5th. And I would hate to get a 5th for Jacoby, but just it is what it is. I think a 4th rounder is definitely something that the Raiders will be willing to part ways with Jacoby for a 4th round pick. So we'll see, but it looks like only time will tell. Well, not only, it's only a matter of time, you guys, before Jacoby is out of Las Vegas and Jack Bech is kind of inserted into the role of Jacoby. Once again, when you took him there in the second round of the TCU, I think it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to be the starter moving forward. And I'm excited about Jack Bech. I really, truly am. This dude can be a stud for us. I'm telling y'all now, just he needs the opportunities. He needs the opportunities. Once he gets those opportunities, the nation is definitely going to fall in love with Jack Bech and his game. And I think with Jacoby there, it's only, kind of stunting his development per se with Jacoby in the mix, because he's pretty much, playing the same role that Jack Bech would play for us. And I think that Bech's ceiling is way higher than Jakobi Meyers. I think that Bech could be 1,000-yard receiver every single year if you go out there and you give him the opportunities to do so. Once again, I'm not here to knock Jacoby, you guys, but he's 28 years old. He'll be 29, I believe. Is it this month or next month? He's getting up there, and he only has 1 year of over 1,000 yards receiving, and that was last year with us in a 4-13 season. Other than that, it was 359, 729, 866, 804, 807, and then this year up to this point, 329 with Geno Smith out there struggling to throw the football. Salute to my guy, Jason Hunter, gifting 5 OLV Raiders Network memberships. Salute to my brother. I appreciate you, man. Salute to all the new members here in the building because of my brother, Jason. If you missed out on those 5, hit the link. It's pinned up top. It definitely helps us keep the lights on. Salute to my guy, CGR as well. Graphk, appreciate all that fire content. Salute to my guy, man. I appreciate you so much for pulling up. I see my brother Q in the building as well. Good to see my dog Q rocking. He's a Cowboys fan, but it's a personal friend of mine. It's always good to see my dog. Angel, I'm not acting as though 28, well, he'll be 29 here very, very soon. I'm not acting like he's an old receiver. All I'm saying is that you have a bunch of young blood in that building, and if you have a Jack Bech who is very young in his rookie season, you give him the reps right now. You're 2-4. Get the rookies out there. Get the young guys. This is a young man's game. Jacoby he's suited to be a wide receiver too. He's suited to be a wide receiver too. He's only a wide receiver 1 on a bad football team like the Raiders, you guys. I don't find it a coincidence that he had his first 1,000 yards, receiving on a 4-13 football team with Davante Adams out of there. Once again, this is no knock to Jacoby, but he is not a true wide receiver 1. You went and got Bech, you went and got Dante. You're stunning their development with having a Jacoby out there taking away reps from these guys. I wouldn't be shocked either if next year they went out there and targeted another wide receiver in the draft to potentially come in and be that wide receiver 1 if they don't think that Bech or Dante can take over that role. So, look, man, this is no knock. I'm not acting as though 28, 29 years old is ancient by any means. But once again, we're not in the business right now of having our young guys getting reps taken away from them because of Jakobi Meyers. It's just simple. It's just simple and plain. It is what it is. And again, I'm not going to argue the 0 drop rate last year. I'm not going to argue that. But once again, I think that right now we need to just embrace the youth movement, get these young guys out there and get them moving and grooving, because you use the 2nd round pick on Bech. You used the 4th round pick on Dante. You used the 3rd round pick a few years back on Trey Tucker. And it's clear cut that Trey is the number 1 receiver for us right now. It's clear, crystal clear that he is our guy right now as the wide receiver 1. So why waste Jacoby's time? Why waste Bech and Dante's time? Why waste anyone's time with Jakobi Meyers out there right now when you could potentially trade him and get some draft capital to potentially get a corner or some guard help, potential tackle? You just never really know. Never really know. And right here, I love it, Vegas Raiders. The Giants have restructured the contracts of Adebo and safety Javon Holland, creating just over 4.8 in cap space for 2025. So do not be shocked if Jacoby or Chris Olave are Giants here very, very soon. Once again, you guys, the Giants, they're a very desperate football team right now. And I think that if they miss out on Olave, we may be able to finesse them out of a 3rd round pick, because their head coach and their general manager are feeling the heat right now. They are on the way out if they cannot find ways to win some football games moving forward. I'm telling you now, this is Brian DeBall and that general manager's last year to potentially unlock that football team. And with Malik Neighbors out, they are feeling the heat. So let's just say Pittsburgh says we're going all in and we're willing to part ways with an early round pick to go get Olave, or New England parts ways the early round pick to get Olave. I think that we could finesse them for a third round pick for Jacoby out there with the Giants. I would settle for a fourth, but if you're going for, if you're going to trade him, if there's a desperate team like the Giants, you could potentially finesse them for a third round pick. Honestly, with Malik Neighbors out and Jackson Dart, inserted into the starting role as their future quarterback, with Tradeable playing the way he's playing, they need a wide receiver out there to help that young kid with Malik Neighbors out for the season. So I would not be shocked if the Giants made a move for Jakobi Meyers. And once again, Olave, he's a number one receiver. Malik Neighbors is a number one receiver. So maybe the Giants say, we'll go get Jacoby. Maybe he can be a cheaper option down the line, and he could be that number two guy to Malik Neighbors. Who's to say? We shall see. Salute to everybody here in the building. This is not going to be a long live, you guys. I actually have another show that I'm supposed to be doing here in a second with a Chiefs creator. We're going to be doing a preview this week, so stay tuned for that. We'll be dropping it potentially today or sometime later in the week. It's going to be pre-recorded, but stay tuned. Maybe I'll do a instant premiere so you guys can check it out. But yeah, we got some more stuff going. I just wanted to talk about this here briefly before I do that and then get on this plane to get back home. I'll be in Vegas tonight as well, you guys, until tomorrow afternoon before I get to California. So get a few questions in, you guys. But once again, all signs are pointing towards Jakobi Meyers being out of Las Vegas here very, very soon. I would not be shocked if he was a healthy scratch this Sunday. I would not be shocked if he did not play. I wouldn't be shocked if he was gone before this Sunday, to be honest. But I don't think the Raiders are going to roll him out there to potentially get hurt against the Kansas City Chiefs when there's a potential trade on the horizon for him with the bye week coming up shortly after. So I think that potentially, you guys, this may be the last that we'll ever see Jakobi Meyers in a Raiders uniform. And I'm okay with that. LT, I love it, man. I love it. This is going to be the funnest basketball team to ever watch lose 40-plus games this season. Russell Westbrook is a king. DeRozan, Levine. This would be the funnest team 10 years ago in the NBA. But this is going to be the funnest basketball team to watch lose 40-plus games this season. I'm here for it. Let me see. Dan says Buffalo potentially. You never know. They got, Shakir, Khalil. Is it Khalil Shakir, I believe? They got Coleman. They have Palmer. They still don't have a number one receiver out there, and I don't know if they look at Jacoby as a number one guy. But maybe they take a flyer. They could be a potential trade partner. There's some other teams as well. Maybe the Niners. You just never really know. Jawan Jennings dealing with some things. Ayuk has not shown up to practice, I believe, for a while, and he's erasing everything 49ers again on his social media like he did before he got his extension. So maybe the Niners are looking at as potential suitors for him. There's a ton of teams right now that can use a wide receiver that are trying to win football games with all the injuries that they're dealing with. The Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers, once again, Buffalo, the Niners, and potentially maybe the New England Patriots. We shall see. Hug, no, not at all. We are not in the business to trade a player for a player. We're not there right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're not there right now in order to do this. Like, just go get you a draft pick and build this thing up for the future. I would be upset if we traded Jacoby for another football player. Would I be shocked? No, because Pete is trying to be in this win now mode because of his age. But Spy Tech needs to look at the future of this thing. He needs to stack these draft picks and build this team the right way. Do it the way Baltimore did it. Do it the way that Buffalo did it. Do it the way that the Kansas City Chiefs continue to build through the draft. Be that team. Build this thing up the right way. Tampa Bay, not at all fits. They have every receiver. I know they're dealing with some injuries, but I don't think that they make any sense as a trade partner. They have a ton of receivers. I know they're dealing with some injuries, but they'll be fine. Kobe's going to the Titans. I don't know why, if that would make any sense. They're 1-5. I don't know why the Titans would be in win now mode. You know what I mean? Like, you go get Jacoby, you're trying to win some football games. They just fired their head coach. I don't think the Titans make a ton of sense, Rosetown, at all. I know that they would like to give Cam Ward a real target out there not named Calvin Ridley or Tyler Lockett, but that doesn't make any sense. The Titans are selling. They're not buying. They're not buying. There's rumors of potentially Jeffrey Simmons on the outs with them because they can field some young draft picks and bring in a new head coach that can kind of build it the way he sees fit. So I don't see the Titans making any sense at all to do that. Gotham, I would definitely flirt with the idea of moving Malcolm Koonce. Keep an eye on Philly. It sounds like they're in the mix to try to bring in a pass rusher. The Niners are another team looking for a pass rusher. Philly would be, we have that pipeline because of, Hunt and then, their general manager out there. Maybe Malcolm Koonce could be a guy that you flirt with the idea of moving to Philadelphia. He's on an inspiring deal as well, maybe. But Tyree, there's no real reason. Now, you can just let him play out his contract. I'm not picking up his fifth-year option because he hasn't played well enough. But I wouldn't give up on Tyree just yet. Knox, I definitely agree. I'm keeping an eye on both those football teams. I do believe that New England would probably want to go younger and get Chris Olave. I guarantee you that Vrabel and company and Josh McDaniels and company are looking at Olave as the number one option to bring in at the wide receiver position. But once again, New England is very familiar with Jacoby. They know what he can do. They know he's a leader in that locker room. I wouldn't be shocked if they went out and got Jacoby, if everything fell through with Olave. So, but Giants are definitely a team to monitor, and definitely the Steelers, because they can use a wide receiver too. And Jacoby is essentially a high-end wide receiver too. So it's my guy Jason, man. People talking like Jacoby is him. He isn't. We have rookies that we need more burn. We ain't going to the Super Bowl, and Jacoby isn't a top 15 receiver. Goofy talk about barely. I mean, that's facts. Barely a 1,000-yard receiver. He just got his first one last year at 27 years old, right? So 27, 28 years old. So yes, I mean, look, man, this is not a player you hold on to if you're already planning on letting them walk in free agency anyways. It doesn't make any sense. Jacoby is the easiest candidate to move off of. It makes total sense. You guys, embrace it. Jacoby will no longer be a Raider. He is on his way out. Simple and plain. It makes no sense to keep him around right now with those young bloods in the wide receiver room right now. Makes no sense at all. Salute to my guy Hug. Inquiring minds. Who called who? Man, shut up, Hug. Shut up, man. Shut up. I just got off the phone with Wasted. We just got done talking for 2 hours about Nolan Ryan and Tony Gwynn. And yeah, we were talking about baseball for like 2. We're hella old, bro. We're hella old. We literally were talking about Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson. I can't wait until we do our show because Wasted just had the biggest pause of the century. Can't wait till we go live. I'm definitely going to bring it up, and he's going to act as though it didn't happen, but it did, you guys. I promise you, it happened. I cannot wait until that show happens because it was the most disgusting pause you've ever heard in your life. The Pause Olympics are back in full form, you guys, so stay tuned. I would love to trade Kobe and bring in Treylon Burks. I was a huge fan of Treylon Burks coming out of Arkansas, and he went to a really bad situation with the Titans. He's dealt with some injuries out there. That was one of my favorite receivers in that class. But honestly, Knox, they're not going to make a move. They're 1-5, man. They would be stupid as hell to go get Jakobi Meyers with the Titans. It'd just be nasty work. And honestly, man, it's the NFL, right? So, you send players wherever you can get the best deal. But I would hate to see Jacoby go from one shit show to the next. That's nasty. So, Ricky's account is gone. Did he just delete it? Because he did put up something right here. Until next time. So let me see. I'm gonna let me see. It doesn't exist. So he just pulled up to talk his shit and keep it moving. I respect it, man. I respect it. That's some goat shit to just pop up. Jacoby's on the way out. Olave's on the way out. New England's looking for a receiver. Ricky! That's hilarious. That is hilarious. But yeah, you guys, it looks as though Jakobi Meyers is on the way out of Las Vegas, like a lot of us predicted since day one. If you want to go back and look at the draft show, I repeat, if you want to go back and look at the draft show, go to day 2. And when we got Jack Besh, remember what I said. It was a crystal clear. The future was evident. Jakobi Meyers is not going to be in Las Vegas for too much longer. Simple and plain, especially with Geno building this rapport with Trey Tucker, and Meyers starting to show signs of life in the passing game, coming off of a 5-catch, 50-yard game where he had a touchdown as well. It's just simple math. It just doesn't make any sense. Go get you a draft pick and go fill another void at the cornerback position or that O-line where we need a lot of help. We're desperate. Yes, Dan, this is facts. Definitely should be sellers at this point. Definitely. But once again, Dan, if we find a way to beat this Kansas City Chiefs team on Sunday, which I don't think is going to happen, but if we did, I can definitely see these guys pivoting and saying, okay, well, maybe we stand pat. Maybe we stand pat. I don't see them buying regardless if we beat the Chiefs. Maybe they just stand pat and try to get to that magic Pete Carroll 500 number. You know what I mean? Like maybe they say, I think we can get to 500 and blow every chance of potentially getting a quarterback in next year's class. So, the Pete Carroll way, baby, 500 or nothing. So, Marcus, hopefully this offseason. Hopefully this offseason, man. We're in dire need of bringing in our future at the quarterback position. Salute to Knox, my guy. Any player you'd be surprised we move, but there was a slight feeling he could. Not really. Honestly, not really. I don't really, maybe Malcolm Koonce, maybe that would be a surprise because, once again, he hasn't played up to par this year, but I don't know who they would put on the edge and to take over those reps. Would it be Tyree at this point? Maybe it'd be Koonce. But that would be the closest that I have. There's no shockers. The only thing that would shock me is Max being gone. That's it. Other than that, there's Ashton's not going anywhere. Brock's not going anywhere. There are no real shockers here. Maybe Malcolm Koonce. Maybe that would be a surprise. Another one. Here'd be another one. Maybe Jeremy Chin. He signed a 2-year, $16 million deal. That would be a surprise to me. But maybe they see, with Lonnie Johnson coming back, maybe they think that I don't know. This roster is not that good to really have any surprise moves outside of Max Crosby. Maybe you sell high on Devin White. We talked about that yesterday's show. Maybe you sell high on him because of that big game that he had against the Tennessee Titans. I don't see Colton Miller at all. Q makes no sense. They just signed him to a new deal. That wouldn't make any sense at all. They literally just extended him. Now, before he got that extension, it looked as though they maybe flirt with the idea. There was no guaranteed money left on the books. They just drafted Charles Grant. Maybe he could be his replacement, but I don't see that. They just literally just extended him. And now that he's dealing with that injury, who would trade for a left tackle that's probably going to miss the entire season? To me, it doesn't make any sense. Who would trade for a left tackle to just put him on a shelf until next year? I don't think anybody's going out there to part ways with draft capital to bring in a guy who just fractured his ankle. So get a few more questions in, you guys, before I get out of here. Once again, I was going to do a quick 30-minute video. I'm trying to get in as much content also before I head out of town. I do have, once again, a collaborative effort here on the way with my guy. How about those Chiefs? So we should be dropping something here maybe in the next day or so. So stay tuned for that. But get a few questions in once again before we get out of here. We got 800 plus. Get those likes up, you guys. Make sure you guys wipe them feet, man. Get those likes up and also hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet, man. Once again, it definitely helps the algorithm. This is kind of breaking news without it being breaking news. It looks as though, you guys, Jacoby is on the way out of Las Vegas. So it looks like Pittsburgh, the Giants. There's even another team that could be a dark horse football team, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can see them potentially be a team. They got some young guys out there at the wide receiver position. Maybe they got Trav out there. They got Robinson. I'm sorry, not Robinson, Brian Thomas. They have some young guys. Maybe they would want to bring him in and add some more value to Trevor Lawrence in that offense. Maybe. maybe. So let me see. Steelers. Okay, Gotham. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. Let me see if there's any more news here. Let me see. Let me pull up the Jakobi Meyers latest. Dolphins fire sales. Saints willing to part ways with Olave. Jacoby probably not a Raider for long. Let me see. Yeah, nothing here right now. I see Hayden Winks, Jawan Jennings to the Broncos, Jacoby to the Steelers, Breece Hall to the Cardinals. Okay. That's interesting. Benson is out for the season. Connor's out for the season. I didn't think about the Cardinals once about Breece Hall. That'd be interesting. I still think that the Chargers are a team to keep an eye on for Breece Hall's services, or potentially the Kansas City Chiefs which would be fucking absolutely spooky. But let me see. Martin, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean, brother? I don't think we're going to bring anybody in during the trade deadline. If anything, I think we're sending bodies out and not sending bodies in. Sky High, I believe so as well. I think that we're going to probably settle there for a fourth for Jacoby, because there are some pretty desperate teams that can use some wide receiver help. But once again, if you could potentially finesse one of these teams for a third, like the Giants, because of the desperation mode they're in, because of their head coach and the general manager being on the hot seat, that can be the team. The only team I see out there that we could potentially get a third-round pick for would be the Giants. If they miss out on Chris Olave, maybe, just maybe, we can get a third from the Giants. But other than that, the Steelers probably a fourth, New England maybe a fourth. At the bare minimum, potentially a fifth, because you don't want to just let them walk for nothing. But I think the fourth, I think that's kind of a safe place to say, to put your bets there for a fourth-round pick. Let me see. Isn't Kobe a comp value at a fourth, though? I can see that. I don't know. I haven't done my, due diligence on the whole comp value with him. But once again, I don't know if they're planning on going to get a receiver in free agency, and then it kind of like washes your hand. Like, let's just say this, Knox. If you go out in free agency and you bring in George Pickens, who will be a free agent, right? And he's playing really good. He's playing really good for Dallas right now with CeeDee Lamb out. Then I think it kind of washes your hands of that comp pick, if I'm correct. I believe so, right? Doesn't that like kill the whole chances of you bringing in a fourth and then you essentially lost them for nothing? So the value, it probably is somewhere along the lines of a fourth-round pick. But once again, who's to say Spytech doesn't want to go with all that money that he has at his disposal, go in and bring in a wide receiver one in free agency, like a Pickens or one of those type of guys. And then I think you kind of wash your hands and lose Jacoby for nothing. There's no reason to hold on to him. There's no reason to hold on to him at all. Makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. It doesn't. It makes no sense. But once again, I'm not going to act as though I'm somebody that's so-called like very much in the know when it comes to the whole comp value and all that stuff. But I do know that, you kind of lose those comp picks when you bring in players at those positions and so on and so forth. You don't want to lose them for nothing. Oh, yeah, I just left the barbershop, huh? Literally just left the barbershop. So had to get clean for my trip back home. And I'll be in the studio all night tonight, you guys. Some new music is on the way as well. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Let me see. Okay, I didn't think we'd get a fourth for Jacoby, but that would be fire. Yeah, I think we settle right there for a fourth, potentially. But yeah, man. Other than that, you guys, salute to everybody here in the building. We'll have some more stuff dropping this week. I will be live potentially from Vegas tomorrow morning, and then we'll have some stuff from California as well. I'm working on some things with potentially some other content creators back home in Sacramento, so stay tuned for that. And we'll have some other stuff coming up leading up to the Chiefs game as well. And if I can find a place where I'm stationary back home, maybe we'll get the watch party rolling and cover the game together. But if not, I'll do a preview and do a recap after the game. So stay tuned for that. I am traveling back to Vegas Sunday night right after the game. So maybe I'll try to fit something in over there as well. So, but other than that, man, salute to my guy. Everybody lit Graphk, no safe travels, my brother. Thank you so much Thank you. My dog, love you, bro. As always, salute to my guy. Punchy says, tell AP9 what's up for me. I will definitely tell my brother. I said, what's up? I got to hit AP up. Definitely got to hit him up. But other than that, you guys, stay tuned. I know Waste is probably doing a live tonight, so make sure you guys tap in with him. I know he has some stuff to say about this. We were just talking about Jacoby on the phone right before I hit live, so I'm expecting Big Bro to have something on the agenda over there at Raider Nation Unlimited. Salute to Heat Check. Chiefs aren't unbeatable. They're 3-3, but the way they look right now, the way we look right now, we're getting Lunging Sunday. Factory Heat Check. Salute to my guy, man. Appreciate you on the $5 special. Wipe them feet on the way out. Hit that subscribe on the way out, you guys. Also, salute to everybody listening to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Salute. Love every single one of you guys. I'll see you soon. I'm out.